Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to my podcast, The Stephen Sully Study, and this is part of the art series that we're doing at Woodbury House. I've had some incredible guests on recently. I've interviewed Al Diaz, Crash, Cope 2, and now I've got another legend who I've actually been following for some time, a lot longer than the other guests that I've had on recently because of the Richard Hambleton movement. There's a documentary of Richard Hambleton called The Shadow Man, which is absolutely blinding. It's phenomenal. It's on Amazon Prime and it's been received very, very well. And I know in the trailer, the next man I'm about to interview, LA2, is featured in there. So as an introduction, thank you for coming onto the podcast, LA2 or Mr. Angel Ortiz.
Thank you for having me. As you can see, I have a Richard, talking about Richard, he's right behind me.
Ah, that's quality. So was that a collaboration?
That was a self-portrait. He did that for me.
Oh, right. Cool. That's really cool. Well, look, LA2, there's so much I want to ask you and, talk to you about. First of all, just a bit of background. So I asked this to Cope 2. I asked this to Al Diaz. I've asked this to any artist that I get on my podcast. What was New York like? Because that's quite naturally where you made your name and quite naturally where you're from. What was New York like back in the 70s and 80s?
Well, I was a young little kid back in the 70s and 80s. You know, I was 14 years old.
Yeah.
In the 80s, 10 years old in the 70s, So New York always been New York to me. I'm born and raised in New York. Nothing had changed for me. I still live in New York. I'm here in New York. I'm a true New Yorker.
Yeah. The reason why I'm asking this question, LA2, is because what attracted me to the Richard Hambleton market is, yes, indeed, his paintings, don't get me wrong, but it was more about the how controversial, how kind of, on edge New York appeared back then. Now, obviously, I'm not from New York. I'm from London. I'm from South London. I'm 35 years of age, and I've got no first-hand concept of what it was like. But what I've read and what I've seen in videos and articles, it was quite a dangerous place at times.
Well, back in the early 80s when I was 14 years old, riding on the streets, riding all over the buses, the trains, everywhere. And then I met Richard. Richard was a good guy, but, he was ahead of everybody's time,
Yeah.
He was a real good artist. They did a documentary, The Shadow Man, which I appeared twice in. The Shadow Man, they did a Richard Hambleton, The Shadow Man.
Yeah.
Documentary, where they interviewed me twice.
Yeah.
And they took me off the interview,
Why?
But I spoke the truth about Richard. And everybody else, that whole documentary wasn't no good, because they made him seem like an addict, which he wasn't an addict. He was an artist.
Right.
And an addict, though. But to me, it was an artist, because that's what we did. We paint.
Yeah. But you're in, so when I got introduced to his market in 2000 and back in the 2013, 2014, the trailer that I still watch today, which I show my collectors, clients and investors, is the one that you're featured in. You're the one talking. Are you actually in the Shadow Man documentary itself?
They just show some of my tags. They show me as a young person, and art galleries and stuff like that. So they just show little bits and bits about me,
Yeah. Okay, cool. So
they showed me in the documentary, but it didn't show me the interview. The interview that I gave to them, they never showed it. They never put it up.
Okay, so let's talk about that then. So what you said in the interview, which was meant to actually be on the Shadow Man documentary, what was your take on Richard Hambleton then? Because you said he's an artist. Yeah, he might have had a slight drug addiction, but didn't every single artist back in the 80s and from New York?
I don't know every single one of them, because every single. But when I hanged out with Richard, we paint on the streets. We wasn't getting high. We was busy tagging up, doing our art.
Yeah.
And I know Richard back before he the shadows, he was painting the streets and stuff like that.
Right. Okay.
So Richard was a good artist to me, you know. And one time when I was young, it was in Italy. When I was there in 1983, I was in Italy, and Richard stopped by, and he said, "LA, why don't you come and tidy up the streets in Italy?" And we were in Venice, but at that time I was painting with Keith, and I asked Keith permission, "Hey, could I go tidy up on the streets with Richard?" And since I was young, he was like, "LA, these walls are very, you know, line marks. So you shouldn't go running on the streets with Richard." But hey, Richard went and he painted the streets. You know, that was something very interesting that out in Venice you would see a shadow in Italy at that time in '83.
Obviously, you started painting your tag LA2, and it became quite infamous, you know, in and around where you were, you know, where you were from. What does that mean, LA2? Where did you get that name from?
Well, LA2 stands for Little Angel, because my name is Angel.
Yeah.
And I'm little. And number 2, because a lot of the graffiti writers had numbers. Los Angeles, California is number 1. So I chose number 2. So I'm LA2. And that's how I started writing my name, LA2, stands for Little Angel.
So,
and I just started writing it everywhere.
Yeah. So it appears to me that a lot of the artists now, the contemporary street artists, if you want to call it that, they started with a tag and then they morphed or dovetailed into, let's say, a style that they've got today. Cope 2, you know, Days, Crash, Out Diaz, but he was going by the name Samo with Jean-Michel Basquiat back in the day. Right. And then obviously yourself. So LA2 was what you were tagging. When did you start converting over to like a different style and doing actual paintings on canvases?
Well, the streets, as for me, was always been my canvases. You know, when we write on the streets are our canvases. The trains are our canvases. Everywhere I wrote my name, it was like a canvas. You know, I came from street arts to galleries, from galleries to museums, from museums to auction houses. So, and I had my own style, you know, and that's what, back in the day, that other graffiti writers would tell you, there was a lot of competition, you know. Yeah. For us, graffiti artists, we love to write on the streets. And the more you put your tag up, the more you become more famous. And that's how it was for me.
Yeah. I
just started writing. And then, you know,
because
everybody got it.
It is. Sorry, I think there's a slight delay there on our Zoom. But what I was going to say is, you know, the streets were your form of almost social media, right? Because today, you know, people use social media to advertise their work and also to sell their work and maybe to, you know, do different collaborations. But you didn't have that back then. So your form of like getting yourself out there, so to speak, was basically dubbing trains or the streets. And what Cope 2 said to me is he would kind of attack one particular train line or tube line in order to become a bit famous and take over that area. Is that what you did as well, LA2, or did you do other stuff?
Well, that was the graffiti writer that was painting on the trains. Like those graffiti writers, they wrote on the train and they stood on one line. You know, the 2 lines, 3 lines, the number trains and stuff like that. When I wrote on the train, I wrote on the train. You know, it was like cat. You know, when we go on the train, it's to write on the trains. We don't go there to admire people's tag because we taking a chance of going to the train yards. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And when I went there, I wrote on the buses, sanitation trucks. I wrote on the streets. My stuff was basically the streets. You know, I would destroy the streets. I would write on the sanitation trucks, on the buses, everywhere. I would go clubbing. And after the clubbing, I would walk from. There would be Roxy's with the Rocksteady crew, B-boys, breakdancers. We would dance all day, and then when it was time to go home, the club end. We would walk from 18th Street, 10th Avenue, all the way to the Lower East Side. So I would walk every avenue every day. 1st Avenue, 2nd Avenue, 3rd Avenue, A, B, and C, like that. And that's how I became King of New York. In 1980, I was like Right now, I can't tag up on the streets. I feel like tagging up on the streets, but I got my own studio, and once I start tagging up on the street, I'm going to get harassed by the cops, and everybody know who I am. So they'll come to my studio and say, "LA, you can't do that." Now it's going to ask permission.
So back in the 80s, 1980s, you said you were like the king or almost of the streets. Well, when did you, like, how old was you when you started painting? Did you say about 14 years of age?
Well, 14 years of age, I was in junior high school. I started in public school, as a little kid. I started in public school. And then from public school,
Yeah.
from public school, I went to junior high school. And then I was also in the boys club, And in the boys club, our parents would send us there like from 3 to 9. And there would be other graffiti writers that were writing on the streets that were much older than me. And they invited me 3 to 9. I was like, go. From 3 to 8, I would run the streets. Club. So,
Yeah.
and then at the age 14, that's
I think your connection is going again, LA.
other graffiti writers that was king of the chain was painting the wall. And at the same time, Keith was painting the wall. And then I said, where's this guy Keith Haring? Where's Keith at? And he was on top of the ladder. And I said, hey, why are you asking for LA too? And he said, well, I see his signature all over, And I would like to meet him. He had like thousands of markers. As you can see, I always carry a marker, a real graffiti cap. So I wrote my name, and he got excited, and we hanged out the whole day, and it got nighttime, and I asked him where you live at. He said, I live on Bloom Street. He said, hey, I asked him if you need help with the ladder. He said, yes. Walked to Bloom Street. He had a yellow taxi hood. He said, would you write your name on the yellow taxi hood in his house? I wrote my name, LA2. We changed numbers. 2 weeks later, he called me. He said, LA, come over. I want you to see what I did. And he was doing his little dogs, which he was known for, the dogs and the babies. And I said, why don't you fill it in with details, with lines and stuff like that? He filled it in with lines and stuff like that. And then he calls me. 2 weeks later, he said, LA, I sold the painting. And he gave me, I said, what? He said, yeah, I sold the painting. It was the first time I sold the painting. And he said, I got some money for you. I said, cool. I went over there. I said, he said, I got $1,400. And it was a verbal agreement back in the day, He gave me $700. He got $700. I went shopping back in the early 80s, It was the Adidas. I bought my Adidas suit, my Adidas sneakers, the fat laces, and then went to Roxy's and just started dancing and enjoying ourselves. And that's how I met Keith, and the rest is all history after that, you know what I'm saying? Keith Haring wasn't a street artist. He was a studio artist. Remember, Keith didn't go on the streets, you know what I'm saying? He didn't tag up. He got a free ride. And then when he met me, because I'm born and raised in Lower East Side, a lot of people didn't like him back in the days. And then I put him down with the crew, because everybody's down with the crew. And I put him down with TNS, CBS, and other graffiti writers say, yo, wait up, he's down with a heavy hitter crew now. And that's how he got his respect, through me and for me showing the street style and how we live in the Lower East Side.
Right, okay. So when I interviewed Al Diaz, who obviously used to go by the name of Samo with Jean-Michel Basquiat, in my mind, and I hope you take this a compliment, and I've said the same thing to Al Diaz, is almost like, he was painting partners with Jean-Michel Basquiat. It's almost like in history that you were kind of painting partners with Keith Haring, but two of them have died and their market is completely blown up, and you two are still alive. And for me, you're the unsung heroes of the street art community, because as you just said there, LA, Out Diaz was a thoroughbred, street artist. You were a thoroughbred street artist, and Keith Haring and Jean-Michel Basquiat, they weren't really known until they met you guys for graffiti or even for public street art. They were more, like you said, studio, which is nothing wrong with that at all. But, the facts are, without forging a relationship with you guys, they might not have been where they are today as far as the market is concerned. So let's talk about that then. So, like when Jean-Michel Basquiat died and also Keith Haring, obviously it was sad, but what was the feeling like in and amongst the community of street artists and collectors in New York? What was that like?
Well, to me, I'm a graffiti artist. I don't know Diaz, that man that you're talking about that collaborated with Samuel. I knew Samuel. I knew John Basquiat.
Yeah.
We hanged out, you know what I'm saying? I did a painting where me and Toxic was in a gallery, and me and Toxic was battling each other in wild style. Wild style is when you get a marker and you write your name non-stop on the plexiglass. Basquiat came. He said, "What's going on between these two graffiti writers?" And other graffiti writers said, "Oh, they're just battling each other in graffiti." I won the battle, but me and Toxic, we became friends. And Basquiat had bought that painting that me and Toxic was doing. So I won both of those paintings. So and when we went down there to Jones Street, he opened a suitcase and threw me $1,000 for me and Toxic. And back in the day, they had a gallery called Fun Gallery. Fun Gallery was run by Patty Astor. Patty Astor she gave graffiti writers the opportunity to show their work there. I don't know if you ever heard of Patty Astor.
I haven't, no.
Okay, her name is Patty Astor. She gave the opportunity for graffiti writers to show their artwork there and sell their artwork there. But remember, us graffiti writers, we love to paint. I wasn't a businessman. A lot of graffiti writers wasn't businessmen. These people were business. They wanted to make money off of the art. And that's how the art scene exploded,
Right.
And that's how it was. And, I used to hang out with Andy Warhol. People said, I used to go to schools, high school, and they said, I'll tell the kids I'm hanging out with Andy Warhol, and the teachers, they're like, are you hanging out with Andy? I would take a photograph. I would go to Union Square, the factory, where he had his studio. I say, Andy, the teachers don't believe that I know you. He takes a Polaroid camera, which he always carries, took a picture, wrote me a letter. I took it to the teacher, put it on the table. She was so, and I stopped going to school after that. I dropped out of school to do my art. And, Keith was part of that, So Keith learned lots of things from me. He learned how to refill the markers. This is a marker. He had thousands of these markers. You twist it off, and you could put ink on it, and you refill it, And I showed him how to refill markers, showed him how to spray, and things like that. And we had our first show at Tony Schifrazi Gallery in 1980. And in 1980 at Tony Schifrazi Gallery, it was a sellout show. He sold everything. And I got a show right now in St. Louis, which is a chess piece that I painted on chess. And it's right here. St. Louis, the gamut, the Keith Haring chess exhibition. I got the Museum of Boston. And then I got the Museum of Graffiti. So I got shows right now, all the way running up to June. So if you're ever in New York or, Boston, St. Louis, stop by these shows, and you see the LA2 shows. It's like, I'm still doing my art. I'm very young, and I'm the last of the Mohicans with that crowd. You know what I'm saying? I'm the last one. Yeah. There's no more Basquiat, Keith Haring. You know what I'm saying? And then I got Kenny Sharp, which Kenny Sharp wasn't a real graffiti writer either. He just got a free ride. Kenny Sharp, and it's like I could go on and on. But people, I'll be telling the truth. I got people that come all over the world and they send me emails if this is original, because a lot of people want to hear the truth. I was there, I lived it, and the reason why I'm here because I like the woman. Keith Haring was gay, and I said, "Yo, once you show me respect, I'll show you respect. I don't care what you are." And everything's been smooth sailing like that. Even with Andy, they all approached me. And I said, "Listen, I'm born and raised in the Lower East Side." And that's how it is in the art world. Right? You say you're from London?
Yeah, London.
Right now, there's an artist in London, which his name is Stick.
I know. I was going to ask you about him. One of my favorite artists. You've collaborated together.
I collaborate with him. I teach him about the art world and everything. Every day I talk with Stick, and we doing collabos and things like that. Right now, I feel to be doing a traveling show, but with this academic thing going on, it's hard for me to travel. I had everything set up for this year. I was going to go to London to have a show with Stick.
Wow.
Where you guys at?
Yeah.
We was going to go there. Stick is doing the sculptures in the parks.
Yeah, that's correct.
I had something real big. We had something. She handles everything,
Yeah.
And we had something real big. I was supposed to go to London, but right now, thanks for it, I can't travel right now because everything is what's happening right now. But I'll be there soon. Believe me.
Well, look, part of the reason why I wanted to interview you is obviously to hear your story, hear about, where you're at right now, talk about the future. But more importantly, is to forge a relationship, because our company, Woodbury House, we have only really ever represented only a few artists, and 95% of our concentration is in Hambleton. We've done that since 2014. We've done a big show last year at the Saatchi Gallery. You've heard of Saatchi, right? It's huge. We've done collaborations. We've got in some of the biggest publications in the world. And now what we want to do is start telling the story of the affiliates. People like Crash, people like LA2, people like Out Diaz, people like Days. I think what we pride ourselves on, unlike a traditional gallery, is storytelling. And I think that we've told the story of Richard Hambleton so well that we've amassed a huge amount of clients, a huge amount of collectors, and also a huge amount of investors who've all made money and really happy with their portfolios. And we want to start doing that with other people. And with you, LA, I know you're very outgoing as far as working still. Like you like to collaborate with other artists, and I think you like to venture into different kind of demographics as well. So this is my next question. Collaborations, taking artists out the equation for a second, but like some artists like to collaborate with clothing companies, Levi's, Nike, Converse, Adidas, that kind of stuff, because I think it allows another audience to acquire your work, but through a different medium. What organisations have you ever collaborated with?
Well, I just did a couple collabos. When it comes to clothes, I do my own clothes. I got my own pants on. These are only 2 pants.
Yeah, they're sick. Very cool.
Vapor 95. You go to Vapor 95. Vapor 95. You see my stuff. It's on LA2. You go to my website, LA2graffitiartist.com.
Yeah.
And it gives you all the information that I've been up to and what I'm doing. I don't collaborate too much with artists. They always come looking for me. I don't come looking for them. Just like Stick, he was in New York. He had a show in New York in a gallery. One of the dealers came. I was sleeping. I didn't want to go downstairs. My wife said, "Hey, the kid is from London. You should go downstairs and meet him." Went downstairs, and he's like, "Oh, you LA too? Here's a black book. Would you sign it for me?" I signed it for him. And then he was like, "Wow, I've read so much about you, and I would love to, one day do a collaboration with you." And we just did a collabo. I had a show, had a couple collabos. They all sell out. Everybody loves our collabos. You know what I'm saying? When me and Stick does it, Like, so, the fashion, I've been doing, a lot of my art looks great in fashion. I've done pillows. If you go to my studio, if you ever in New York, come by my studio, you can see everything I do. I do clothes. I got my hoodies and everything.
Have you ever collaborated with a brand like an Adidas or a Nike or something like that?
No, I didn't get Nike, these name brands, that you're talking about. I don't, I do my own stuff, It's just a book that me and Keith did, our first show.
Right.
At Tony Chaparral Gallery. And, and people, I will welcome it, is our stuff.
Yeah, well, cool. Really cool.
If a good name brand comes and want to participate and do something, we can do something together.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is the first book that Keith Haring ever did, The Three-Eyed Face at Tony Chaparral Gallery.
Yeah, I recognize
it. And it's so funny. I bought this book myself because the foundation never gave me one.
Really?
I bought $500 on this book. You see, yes, the foundation. Oh my God, this is LA too. And when they see this whole book here, and when they see these lines and everything, they think it's Keith Haring. Keith Haring do nothing here. This is all LA too. Where do you see a Keith Haring? So I got to teach the public, and the public got to learn that, hey, there's an artist behind Keith Haring.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But at the 1980s, remember, I'm Puerto Rican. They're white. Us Puerto Rican, we got to work double hard. You know what I'm saying?
I hear you.
And this is me and Keith. Look how young I am. Look how proud Keith is to be with me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And he can look. Look what he does. His stuff is just the babies and the dogs. Once he adds the lines and everything, it changes. And you see my tags.
Yeah.
That's a young 14-year-old kid. So Keith said, yo, let me work with this kid here because this kid knows a lot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
About art, So, and thank God I'm still alive and I'm still doing my art. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. Well, look, we would love to work with you and maybe collaborate in some way and definitely get you over to London. So going back to your collaborations then, obviously you've collaborated with Stick. I do really like Stick's artwork. I think he's got a very bright future.
I did collaborate with Stick. I did collaborate with Richard. When I do collabos, I make sure it's the right artist. It's not just any artist that I do collaborate with.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Who's been your favorite?
There's a Ferrucci store. There's a Ferrucci store that was opening in London. They invited me because they wanted a Ferrucci store that they opening in London, which they invited me to go paint to make it seem like the Ferrucci store that we painted in 1983 in Italy. So they wanted the same art as it was in 1983, the original Ferrucci store in Italy. Now they moved to London. That was one of my game plans this year, to go paint the store over there too, to paint Ferrucci. They just moved over there.
It's only around the corner from here. So I'm actually in London, Soho, London. And literally 2 streets away is where that Ferrucci store is. It's really, really cool. So out of you've collabed with Keith Haring, you've collabed with Kenny Sharp, you collabed with Richard Hambleton and Stick.
No, not too much with Kenny Sharp. Because Kenny Sharp, when me and him started it, we was cool, and he did a little war, and I tagged my name on it, and he got a little bit. You know what I'm saying? A buddy of Keith Haring, because, he got a free ride to Keith Haring, and he's always saying that Keith Haring, the foundation, had paid him. When Keith Haring passed away, me and him did a lot of artwork that I never got paid for. You know what I'm saying? That the foundation had kept, and they put it out in these museums and stuff like that. When I went, they had a show at the Whitney Museum. I said, who's LA2? And the person said, LA2 is a black guy that passed away. I said, hold up, I'm LA2. I wrote my name. Everybody started freaking out. I said the black guy that passed away was Juan DuBose. That was Keith Harington's lover. He passed away. So remember, I'm the Puerto Rican, Keith Harington's the white one, and Juan DuBose is the black one. So it was a three. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I understood. What was it like? Collaborating with someone like Keith Haring. Then was he easy going to work with? Was he hard work? Was he a nice guy? Was he a mean guy? Go on.
For me, Keith, like I said, once I told him I love women, once he showed me respect, I show him respect. It's smooth sailing. But in the neighborhood that I'm from, the Lower East Side, remember back in the 80s, a lot of people, they like gay people. They find out you're gay or whatever. They didn't like it. Then I was like, and when I was going to school, they were like, LA, you're making money because, this guy is gay and things like that. And if I fed into that, and every day I'd be fighting every day, you know what I'm saying? But I didn't feed into that. So, Keith was like an absorber. He absorbed everything I had taught him and everything,
Yeah.
And Keith's shows was never alone. They say Keith Harington's first solo show. It wasn't the first solo show. It was me and Keith. They gotta say Keith. You gotta get the art history right. You know what I'm saying? They gotta say Keith Harington and LA too. The way people and everybody are recognizing and giving the props now. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes your props come later and sooner, but I'm still here. You know what I'm saying? The people that any graffiti writer would say, yo, it wasn't Keith Haring. It was LA too. Fab Five Freddy. Everybody
Yeah.
And Kenny Sharp. Richard. All the real graffiti writers know it wasn't. It wasn't Keith Haring. It was Keith Haring and LA too.
Yeah. What was
the art history got to get it right. They ain't got the art history. They're not telling the art history the way it should be told. There's lots of things that's happening that people don't. And when all this art is, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I guess. Well, this is more than enough reason for you, which I know you are doing anyway, to be out there, tell your story, and obviously make sure that you rewrite history because it's the truth. But yeah, so question I want to ask you, LA2, what was Richard Hambleton like? Because I've worked on his market for so long. I didn't get the pleasure of meeting him, but I've obviously, worked in his market for such a long time. I'm completely immersed in his work. What was he like as an individual, and how was it like collaborating with him?
Well, to me, like I said, Richard, he was cool with me. You know what I'm saying? He showed me a lot of respect. Out of all the artists, he was the one artist that always would speak up and say, yo, this is LA too. You know what I'm saying? And I would go to his studio, which he had on Delancey Street, and I would hang out with him. He would have a lot of paintings. And I also had some dealers that would buy the artwork that me and him collaborated. Richard was he would come to my studio. I was when I had my problems with drugs in the rehab center, and he had passed away on October of Halloween, like 3 years ago. I believe it was 3 years ago. He had called my wife on the cell phone when he was in the hospital, and he was like, "Could I speak to LA?" But my wife didn't understand what he was saying, because he was he was very, very sick. But he was trying to reach out for me. I knew why he was trying to reach out for me for. But I was getting treatment, getting better myself, which I am better now, and Richard was good, man. You know what I'm saying? And now, I got the Richard Hambleton. I have people that say they got Richard. Now they got all these fake Richard Hambleton popping out of everywhere. You know what I'm saying? Because you know how that goes. When the artists die, everybody want to make their money. So now you got all these fake Richard popping out everywhere. And I have people coming to my studio. I got a Richard Hambleton. This is his last painting that he did. I'm like, I don't go there too much with other people, when it comes to their stuff. Because people buy art when the artist is dead. Don't come to me saying you got this, you got that when the artist is dead. come to me when the artist is alive. Say, I got this from this artist when he's alive.
Yeah.
Don't wait till he's dead. It's like Andy Warhol. Every millionaire wants an Andy Warhol in their house.
Yeah.
Did you ever meet Andy? No. So I hanged out with Andy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was there at the studio. I say, hey, Andy, chill out with LA,
Yeah. Can I?
So, Andy.
Can I ask you about your take on the art market as an investment? Because it seems to me more and more people are getting involved with art to stockpile it, to collect it, to preserve their money and to make money. Because let's have it right, your typical areas of investing, stocks and shares, property or banks, in times of coronavirus lockdown, they're losing money. But it seems to be that the art market is thriving. It's going up and up and up and up. I mean, look at Banksy, look at Jean-Michel Basquiat, look at Andy Warhol, look at their market. It's booming. What's your take on it, LA?
Paintings from certain artists. Right now, it's like a lot of people are losing their jobs. There's a lot of, things happening in the world. So a lot of people have art and they just sell their art as a bargain. Everybody want to buy their art as a bargain now. Like gold, you know what I'm saying? So that's what's happening now in the art world. They got people that, buy any kind of painting as a bargain. They don't want to give the price that it's really going for. Yeah, that's what's happening now.
Yeah, because when we saw Jean-Michel Basquiat pass away many years ago, his market's gone, from strength to strength. And in 2017, a piece went for $110.5 million. Now, you as an artist who paved the way for many other artists and influenced and gave them inspiration, how does it make you feel when you see one of your peers, one of their pieces in Christie's or Sotheby's fetching that kind of money? How does that make you feel?
I wish there was alive to see it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It would make me feel great to see it because, a lot of these artists, they wasn't making that money when they was alive. Sometimes you know how the game is played in the art world. Once the artist is the artist.
Yeah. Yeah. And with yourself, LA, I know you said you've got loads of plans, and obviously coronavirus has, prevented them happening immediately. But let's just say, like 6 months from now, when things are back to normal, etc. What are your plans? Because again, we would like to, definitely work alongside you in some capacity. What are you going to be doing over the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years? What's your plans?
Well, my plan is like I've always been doing. I got a gift, and it's called painting and doing art. And I'm just going to continue doing my solo shows. You know what I'm saying? I'm just going to be doing my art and just,
Yeah.
Hope to be in London, do a show out there, and just continue doing my art,
Yeah.
And keep painting. That's what, just especially now. Now is the time that a lot of people need to do art, to express themselves through love, because art is love. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And what was that? Was it your first, going back to your early days? I know you said you expressed yourself through painting, which is love. How come you didn't go down another route, such as, I don't know, your more conventional route, getting a job or maybe becoming an athlete or something like that? Why was it painting? Why was it being, a street artist?
Well, I was an athlete because before, I used to go to the boys club. I don't know if you know what's a boys club.
Boxing?
You know what's a boys club? Where it's a whole bunch of kids. They would play pool, they would go swimming,
they would go
ping pong, things like that.
Right.
I love swimming. I'm in shape. Right now I got COPD from smoking too much. I would like to do something for COPD for the smoking and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I'm still here. You know what I'm saying? I ride my skateboard when I could. I ride my skateboard. I get on my bike. You know when I could. When it's
Yeah.
a good day.
Yeah. So sorry, the line keeps on cutting out slightly. It must be the internet connection. But okay, so LA, what's your view on the art market now to where it was back in the 80s and 90s? Like, how have you seen it evolve with the introduction of, the internet, social media, that kind of thing? What's your take on the art market now?
Well, the art market is now. You know how it is. It's like incredible with social media. You do, do a painting, the whole world sees it, and the internet, the whole world sees your art. So that's how people are doing their things right now to the computers. They're not even doing art anymore. They're doing art computers. You just sit in front of the computer and paint all day. I guess.
Yeah. Have you noticed like, a different demographic getting involved with purchasing art now than let's say back when you first started?
Well, I'm not like an art collector, you know what I'm saying? I'm an artist, you know what I'm saying?
No,
The
but I'm
thing
saying
is,
what I was saying to you, LA, is you're an artist. What the type of people that are acquiring your work or your affiliates' works, how has that demographic evolved and changed over time? Because I can imagine people that are buying now might be slightly different to the type of people that were buying back in the 80s and 90s. Or would you say they're quite the same now?
I don't know, because, if you could afford to buy somebody's artwork, then even if you like it, buy it. You know what I'm saying? If
Yeah.
you could afford it. I'm a type of artist that when you come to my shop, I might sell a canvas for this price, but I also think about the kids in the neighborhood. I do sneakers, t-shirts and things like that. My art is for everybody. It's not once you become famous and stuff like, don't let nobody else afford your art, just the rich, To
Yeah.
me, that's not cool. Back in the days when we was tagging up, you come with a jacket on and we'll paint on your jacket. You come with a hat on, we would tag up on your hat. Now you got these artists that they ain't exclusive. They tell you, I'm exclusive. I can't do that. And I'm like, what? You can't write on the book? You can't. No, I'm exclusive. So, to each their own. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
But if you want to get an LA2, you can always get an LA2. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So do you know the pants, as you call them in America, or your trousers, and also you've got the canvas over your left hand shoulder. I take it that's one of yours. What is that one of yours?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of my pieces.
What inspired you to have that kind of style? Because looking at your Richard Hambleton over your right hand shoulder to your own piece, you guys have got completely different styles.
This is at my studio. Richard came to my studio and I had a canvas and I gave it to him and he said, "I like just sit right there. I want to do a self portrait of you so you can see me." He did it 3 times. And then he wrote LA2 everywhere. You can see it?
Yeah, I'll see it.
And then he signed it in the bottom. Because, when he came, he knew I was like, he knew what I knew. We was graffiti writers. So us graffiti writers are everywhere. So he was like, LA2 tag it everywhere.
Yeah.
And it was like that. And things about me, when I meet artists, I'm not that type of person that, say, give me a painting and things like that. You know how some people ask for painting? I was like, if he does it, he does it,
Yeah.
I wasn't a real good collector, I liked it down, they liked it in me, and we just hang down, and that's how it was, you know what I'm saying?
Your style, quite naturally, only because it's more commercialized, people do refer, are going to affiliate it to the Keith Haring type of style. But when I look at it, it has an Andy Warhol feel to it slightly as well. So what or who or how, what sort of gave you that style? What influenced it?
Well, us graffiti writers, everybody's gifted. Some people are gifted to be singers, actors. Mine was just, painting. You know what I'm saying? That was my gift. And it's a gift that I continue doing. And it's a style that, that everybody likes and everybody can enjoy.
Yeah. Okay. So you just come up with this style that you've got right now, just by kind of chance, and it was organic?
It's like when I do a painting, you only get one of a kind of like two. You can never get the same painting twice. You know what I'm saying? I have people coming to my white promoter and asking her if LA does a painting just like this, and I can't do it, because once it comes out, once I put those lines are there, I can't do the same painting twice. It will never happen.
We've got a Richard Hambleton shadow head, and then round the edge of it is the LA2 lines. I think you've done a series of those, didn't you?
No, I didn't. When I did Richard's, I did a few paper drawings, and I also did one a dedication to him. Because remember, these artists, I hanged out with them, they hanged out with me for so many years together. After a while, you know how to do the art or whatever, you know what I'm saying? So, anyway, yeah, Richard, I like the Richard. But he's in a better place now, you know what I'm saying? He went through, it wasn't good at the end for him, but he's in a better place. Yeah,
for sure, because I know he had, the cancer of the face, and he, was deteriorated, and he looked like he was in pain. So, yeah, he's probably in a much more comfortable place now, which is good. Look, going back to, sometimes they say the best career move an artist can make is when they sadly pop their clogs and pass away. Because their market tends to go up, as you said. Richard's market, since he's passed away in 2017, definitely has gone up quite aggressively. One of his pieces in 2019 fetched under the hammer over $500,000. Where do you see his market going financially over the next few years?
Yeah, that's what I remember. You know what I'm saying? His market, I don't know what's going on. Right now, they probably millions of people trying to fight for his control of his market right now. So I really don't know what's going on with his market.
Right. Okay. And with your market then, LA2, what sort of high hopes and vision have you got for it? Because quite naturally, when everyone does pass away, what would you like to see happen to your own market in 20, 30, 40 years' time?
I just live for today, you know what I'm saying? I don't look down that line, you know what I'm saying? I just live for today. Right now I'm doing art. I just did a little chess piece at the museum in St. Louis, and I like to see all those little kids playing chess on the LA2 board. You know what I'm saying? On the chess board that LA2 created.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, that's cool. I do admire people that live in the here and now. I've got to admit, my mind, just because I'm in business for myself, I can't help but thinking about the future sometimes, and it makes you feel like you're under pressure. I mean, it's good to set goals, but I need to live in the here and now a bit more. So I'm definitely going to take that bit of advice away from this podcast today. LA2, can I ask you a question? Where can people find you if you want them to find your work or follow your journey?
Well, they could go to LA2graffitiartist.com.
Lovely.
Right there, you go to LA2graffitiartist.com and you see everything what I'm up to and what's happening.
Great stuff.
I keep it simple,
And what about your Instagram, social media?
LA2 LES. You go to LA2 LES. LES.
All right.
Like Lower East Side.
Perfect. Cool. Like I mentioned to you, LA, we would like to, open up the channel of communications with you, and potentially some point this year, do some projects together, because like I said, we pride ourselves on storytelling, and if we're going to talk about street art from the 80s, you can't talk about a story without including yourself, because you're one of the OGs and thoroughbred artists from back in the day.
Well, I appreciate it. You know where to find me. You know, if you're ever in the city, come visit me. My door's always open. And, you know, give a big shout out to my man Stick, you know.
Yeah.
And, you know, soon I'll be there, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Stick's an incredible artist, and I would love to see you guys work on something live in London. That would be incredible. This is going to be the last question then, okay? So when I got into business for myself, I came up with a slogan, and the slogan goes like this: be happy, never content. So if I were to ask you, LA2, what does be happy, never content to you? What is your interpretation of that?
Well, that's how we gotta go day by day. You know, be grateful for me. I like being grateful. You know what I'm saying? I like being grateful to my wife, her family. You know, being grateful to good friends. You know, just being grateful. You know, and all we need now is a nice big hug from everybody right now, and that's what make me content. It will make me happy. You know what I'm saying?
I'm with you on that point.
And also love your dogs. Also love your dogs. Because my dogs drive me nuts. And they're the one that keeps me happy every day because I got to walk them.
Listen, I would love to get some collaborations going with you. So let's keep up the communication. We are going to take a trip. The moment we're allowed to get over to New York, we're going to take a trip over there, and I'm going to revisit you. I'm going to visit you. Hopefully we can do like a part 2, maybe face to face. We can get some pieces from you. We can talk about projects. I think there's definitely some business that we can do together, LA2. You sort of broke up there, LA2. But look, I'm going to love you and leave you, man. So let's thank you for your time, and I'll be in contact, all right?
Thank you for having me.
God bless. Take care.